All right, everybody, good morning. I'm Bernadette Wagner. We're here today with Prime Time for Women's Move to Improve with Tina Fraley. What I want you to know is it's time to get healthier. Even if you're already in good health, no matter where you are in this journey, just starting out, attempting to doing things, or being a super duper fitness person, together, women can get healthier and stronger and happier because we support one another. We encourage one another, and that connection makes a difference not only in our body, but in our mind and our spirits as well. So today it is my pleasure to introduce Tina Fraley, who knows firsthand the truth of these words. She has an incredible passion for setting a mindset to help women, but more than that, she has the passion to teach women how to do that for themselves so that their lives can be the transformation that they envision for themselves. Tina's going to share a little bit of her personal story with us, from barely surviving to absolutely thriving. And I think it's really exciting because as a mother of 7, Tina's journey includes extricating herself from an abusive relationship, losing, was it 100 and some pounds, 162? Yeah. She married her high school sweetheart, and now she's a successful business owner. As a certified personal trainer with a master's in community health, Tina knows firsthand the power of transformation. And today she's going to give us a deep dive into her story. And she's also, I think one of the things I like best about Tina is her willingness to be vulnerable. And not just for the sake of being vulnerable, but because she recognizes that to move forward, you have to own your past. You have to, I think, acknowledge your struggles, and then you have the power to step forward. Is that correct, Tina?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So during the next, today, and then 7 weeks at 10 a.m., Tina's going to take us on this journey of sharing tips for living a successful life. And that's mind, body, and spirit. And Tina is going to take from here and do a little exercising after our interview today. And then in the future, she's going to be taking us through steps that will improve both her mind, bodies, and spirits. So Tina, thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here and just start moving our body and improving our lives together.
Oh, well, and for our viewers, if you want to join in and ask questions, Tina is the kind of presenter that she's really willing to engage and connect. So if you have a question, take yourself off mute and jump right in there, because this is our chance to be in relationship together. So Tina, let's start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey, the journey you're on.
Okay, so like you were saying, I'm a mom of 7. My oldest is 23 and my youngest is 10, going on 21, she thinks.
Yeah.
But I call them my stair steppers. I've been in a different phase of evolution and raising children for the better part of 23 years. I've always had one in one stage of either teenage, now I have adults, and one coming into that preteen time. But it's very reflective of how life has been in general for me, having to learn how to live my life on a daily basis. The focus is building a healthy life for me. So a lot of the transitions and the evolution that started me down a healthier journey was because I needed to be able to do that for them. And I saw that if I was going to do it for them, I also then deserved to do it for myself. So coming out of just living in the frame of mind where everything was, I was a parent, I was a mom and a wife, I started to step back and realize that I wanted more for myself than just those roles. And little by little, after I had had my 7th one, Bella is my youngest, I was almost 300 pounds at the time. I was pre-diabetic, my blood pressure was going through the roof, and doctors were talking about medications, and I was in my mid-30s, and there was just, in my mind, that was the final straw for me. It was like, okay, I need to take control of my life, because this is not how that works.
I was going to ask you if there was one particular moment, was there a wake-up call? Was it at doctor's appointment, or was there one thing that you can point to and say, this is the day I'm changing?
It was a a midnight feeding with my newborn. She was somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks old at that point, and it was like 2 or 3 a.m. And I was crying and she was crying and I was just overwhelmed. I had literally no room to sit and comfortably hold her, to feed her. The boppy that I had would only like fit on one side of me because they didn't make them at that size. And I just remember looking down and holding her and being like, this is not okay. I can't love you the way I want to, care for you the way I want to, raise you and put in and invest in you the way I want to, because I feel this stuck and out of control and inadequate. So from that moment, like literally divine intervention type of stuff was going on. I'm like, I can do this if I choose to do it for you. And then it shifted. Everything started because I wanted to be there for my child and I wanted to love her with all of me, and all of the blocks and things that were getting in the way, I had to move. So that was literally the precipice of it. I have to move from this spot. And that's what started me on my journey.
So that's interesting. Your motivation was to do it for others, but in doing for others, you care for yourself. So that's a huge connection right there.
Yeah.
What role does self-esteem play in creating these healthy habits? I mean, you have to start with self-love somehow, right?
You do. And I think that in my case, and a lot of the women I work with, that I call it a shelf of esteem, because that's one of the things we want to build on. And it's not always balanced. It's very easy to, like you're saying, do something for another person before you'll do it for yourself. Society actually tells us that we're a good person if we do for someone else. Mm-hmm. But that reflective tool is what I call it, is where the growth and the building and the changing of your life actually starts. When you start to look in the mirror and recognize the woman looking back and like her, that's key to it. Because oftentimes when we want just the weight change or the body change, it's the scale, it's the number, it's the messaging that we're told through our lives that prompts us and moves us forward. But when you step back and you look at, okay, I know that I want to just feel better. I want to feel good in my own skin. I want to wake up in the morning and like the body and the mind and the life that I'm here living. Those subtle changes, looking in the mirror and going, I like you today. I don't really know you, but I like you, and I'm going to make the choice to learn you, rediscovering yourself, reconnecting you to you in your own life. Yes, because you might be doing it in the relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your career companions. Any of that outside external validation is important, but it starts to come back in and filter, and that cup you fill for yourself then starts to allow you to be more present, more effective, and more loving in all of the ways for the people around you. But it becomes this cyclical, copacetic relationship with self that starts to connect you to you and then out to the people around you.
Yeah, and I would just ask our participants if they want to weigh in and share any of their stories on about this now. Jean, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, it's, I guess I've always battled with using food as a comfort for myself, throughout the years. And I'm not the heaviest I've ever been, but, losing another 5 or 10 pounds, which would be better for me, even though it may not seem like a lot for other people, is something I want to do. I just always seem to, feed my sweet tooth and my whatever it is that, I guess it's like must be sometimes like an emptiness, and filling it with food.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Tina, that one of the things when I hear you say that resonates with me, and I think most of our participants know that I'm one of 9 kids. And when I was in my early 20s, I was pretty overweight. And I can remember my mom saying to me, Bernadette Marie, And whenever she said Bernadette Marie, I knew I was supposed to pay attention. She said, you know, you are always going to have a weight problem. And you need to love yourself right here, right now, as you are. And it's very interesting. My 6 sisters were really mad at my mom for saying that to me. And when she said it to me, I was like, you mean I'm lovable now? I don't have to look skinny like all my sisters. And for me, that was like this crazy permission. And I have to say, I was in my early 20s. I stopped weighing myself. I raised 5 kids. We never had a scale in the house. It was like this, for me, that was this turning point. I'm lovable right now. And I was heavy. And I stopped focusing on the scale and started focusing on me. And so when I hear you say that, like about focusing on yourself in order to love other people, I see that what my mom said was a real gift to me. And yeah, so anyhow, it's interesting.
Absolutely. I love that, because it's actually the messaging that you have been able to pass on to your children and to every woman that you actually get the opportunity to connect with. When we give ourselves permission to love ourselves, it's like this little light shining on the path, telling them, hey, you can do this too. It's okay. You don't have to know how, but we can do it together.
I think you make a really good point to say that society often tells us that we are good people if we serve other people. And if you take care of yourself, you're selfish. And
Yes.
I've been making a real point of saying it's not selfish to provide self-care, it's self-loving. And I think that that's a little bit of a mind shift. And I know you're going to be talking about mindset. I can't wait to hear that part. But before I get to that, Tina, you are using your story to inspire lots of people in different ways. I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about FitMinded Living, and then we'll get into some of the other ways that you are serving women.
Yeah, absolutely. So FitMinded Living was honestly developed out of my own journey. When I had started all of this, it's now 10 years. She's going to be 11, so almost 11 years now. I realized there just was not a connection between the physical and the emotional transformation that takes place when you choose to change your life, whether it's a weight change, a career change, a scholastic change, a marriage change, any of the relationships and transitions that we go through as women. There really wasn't a space to be held. And that was what I knew I needed. I had found myself in moments where I was so emotionally overwhelmed with movement, and it didn't make sense. And at that time I was finishing my master's program. So I was already ensconced and immersed in the world of mindset, psychology, and just understanding brain chemistry. But there was no phone book, no directory to look up and go, okay, I'm trying to fix my life with food. Why am I doing this? I have an aversion to movement. Why don't I want to exercise? Every time I get up a head of steam, I sabotage myself and then find myself right back in the same spot, starting over, feeling depleted, feeling defeated and overwhelmed. So FitMinded Living stemmed from the necessity that I found for myself. And then as I connected with other women along the adventure, I was seeing that I wasn't the only one there. I was not alone in those emotions. I wasn't alone in that overwhelm or the frustration or in the desire for more in my own life. And the more I started having conversations and giving myself permission to actually honor what I was experiencing, honoring the traumas, honoring the emotions that were coming up, I was seeing that I was breaking barriers that had been put in my way, essentially, from having healthier life choices. So FitMinded Living needed to be something simple. I was standing in my kitchen one day and I literally was in front of my sink and I'm like, I just need to eat. Like, this is not complicated. Everyone has to eat in order to live. Okay, check the box. I need to move. I don't know how, I don't know specifically where. I'm not going to a gym, so I know it's got to be at home, but I need to move my body. Check the box. And I needed to believe. I realized that it wasn't just my physical movement or the food coming into my system that was going to make the difference. I needed a mindset that was going to be conducive to those changes. I needed to believe in something. And I literally standing there in the kitchen, I'm like, why don't I believe in myself? Like, where was that piece and why wasn't it just naturally a part of something? So I had to teach myself how to believe in myself. And through that process, I was moving my mind, I was moving my body, and that allowed me to move my life into healthier aspects, choices, and oftentimes challenges. But that's where the growth thing came from. The transformation is what changed my life and then connected me to the people around it who I now change lives for as well.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. And I think I love that you had this awakening when you're holding your baby. But I'm wondering, did this awakening, this change in your life also affect your other children? I mean, it seems to me this would be a gift that you're not only given to yourself, but that you're given to your whole family.
Very much. So my oldest, I know it has changed his life because he's now finishing his bachelor's program and then going on to become a physical therapist. So this has been something that he has completely incorporated into his day-to-day living and will then soon be helping other people change their ways of showing up to health. My second to oldest son struggled a lot with the same behaviors. As his mom, I taught him those same behaviors, diving into food when the day ended and why. One of the stories I share with my clients, he had sat down to a plate of food that I had given him, finished an entire pile of spaghetti, had seconds of that same pile of spaghetti, and then at the end, when he cleared his plate, was standing in front of the fridge, opening it and looking for more food. And I remember looking up confused because I knew, yes, he's a growing boy. Yes, he was having those transitions and all of that was at play, all the things you tell yourself to kind of dismiss what you're seeing. But I looked up and I'm like, you are not hungry. What are you doing? He was completely and utterly bored and just knew that the next step to do was to look for more food. It turned out that he was having a lot of the same emotional frustrations that I was having. The relationship with my first husband was very volatile, very violent, very not safe and abusive. When we moved out of the relationship, we didn't necessarily move out of the trauma. So relocating yourself doesn't mean you've healed. It doesn't mean you've processed any of those emotions that come up. And he, like myself, was very close to the vest, didn't share what had happened, didn't share what he was experiencing. So he loaded it and weighed himself down with the food. When we sat down and we really started to dive into what was going on, I had a wake up moment because he sat me down after I had started my journey and was losing the weight and changing my nutrition habits, changing my physical movement habits. Came home from high school and straight up told me, you need to teach me what you're doing because I'm not going to be eating any more food because I don't want to be bullied anymore. And that was just mind blowing because I had no idea that it was taking place. And then I had the guilt of not understanding that I missed it. How did I miss this as his mom? I didn't know. Why didn't he tell me? He was trying to shield me. I was trying to protect him. But we had to be vulnerable. We had to pull all of those layers back and just look at what's taking place and learn how to live differently. It wasn't just about the traumas anymore. It was about healthy living where we were at in the day, that moment, not yesterday, not all of the past and the baggage that comes with it, but teaching him the same options. Okay, you're not hungry for food, you need a hug. You're not hungry for food, you're stressed out, you need to move your body. You're not hungry for food, you're actually thirsty. So there's all of these different cues that start to come up as you train yourself to be more present with your body and make that connection between what you're feeling and what you're feeling from those two different perspectives of life. So he was definitely another aha, I have to make this change. I have to understand it and share it.
Yeah, I think that reminds me, my dad was in AA, and after 33 years, no, it was longer than that. I'm trying to think. My wedding was his last big binge, drunk, whatever. We almost lost him that night. I got married in January, and he passed out in the snow. And when I came back from my honeymoon, my mom said, your dad has something to tell you. And he said, no, I don't. And my mom goes, Tom. And he goes, I don't have anything to say to her. And my mom started crying. And my dad said, your mom wants me to tell you I went to AA. And then fast forward a couple years later, he said to me, you know, what I've learned in AA is that my life is only as dark as my secrets are deep. I need to shine the light and speak my experience. And that's what I've learned in AA. And I think that that message transforms across or transcends AA and goes across all different dimensions and plays powerful in everyone's life. And you're an example of that, owning that story and speaking it, you know, shining the light and telling other people that they're not alone.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I love that that's how you phrase that. With my ex-husband is still a recovering alcoholic, and I had no idea how actually pivotal his steps in AA and his steps through recovery years later, because I learned them. I went into the AA meetings with him. I went into the aftercare program. So it became a part of my day-to-day living and understanding. And I can see how much sense they actually make today applied across every struggle, not just alcoholism. So absolutely.
Right. Right. So Jeannie, I just want to check in with you and see if you have any questions or comments. Okay, so Tina, my next question for you is, we all need motivation. I was wondering, what motivates you, especially when life gets tough? I mean, you know, not every day is as tough as others, and some are just plain easy and joyful, but some are really difficult. So I wonder if you could share what motivates you, especially on those difficult days.
Absolutely. So I will throw out there in the beginning that I have had a lot of moments where I've had to just change the narrative. So words like motivation, they didn't do it for me the way we would think, like, okay, we just got to hurrah, get in there and do it. I stepped back and really started to think on, why can't I be motivated? Like the action of, the meaning of, why does that keep eluding me? And what I realized for myself, and I have taught it in instructional settings, is motivation can get you there, but you need courage to follow through. So it's the motivation of knowing that you need to move and eat and believe in your life. But it's courage that is going to help you take that first step. We
So
all
courage
have
comes before motivation?
I believe that courage comes at the precipice of it. That's what's going to be the thing that makes you able to show up for yourself every day.
Okay.
The focus for a great deal of my groups is showing up for you. I take that focus off the scale. Don't have it in the house. Don't make it a pinpoint type of option. Focusing on showing up for yourself, and it takes courage to do that, because we can step into those automatic roles. Got to go to work, got to do the commute, got to do the kids, got to pack the lunches, got to do the thing. But you aren't something to just put on the list of things to do. And even when we try that route, when we put ourselves on our own to-do list, oftentimes we're at the very bottom of the list, and we only have the energy, the strength, and the mind capacity for what's left at the end of the day. So putting ourselves back up at the top of the priority list and being a priority in our own life, that is motivation and courage all in one beautiful package, that when you show up every day, that's what you are using to keep yourself moving. That's where that momentum drives from. So even on days that I don't want to, or I didn't sleep well, or the kids are doing 100 different things, or they're finding that last nerve and dancing on it, it's still my opportunity and a responsibility to show up for myself the same way I'm going to teach them, the same way I'm going to share with someone I meet in a training environment, or just in the grocery store having a conversation. That transparency and authenticity of self, building up your own integrity, knowing you have a choice to show up for yourself just as much as you have a choice not to. It
Right.
takes courage to stand in that vulnerability with yourself. You can stare at that workout and go, I'm not going to do it for 15 minutes. And then you realize that 15 minutes you could have been up and moving and done already. So oftentimes it's just believing in yourself enough to go, I am worth this, and then showing up for it.
So I think, it's funny. I really have to do my exercise first thing in the morning, partly because I get caught up doing stuff for other people, but I try to hold that space just for me. And during COVID, not going to the gym, I've really missed that part. I do have a 4-mile loop, and it's not been great weather lately. And I started saying, well, I'm just going to do 2 miles of my 4-mile loop. And then I thought, no, I'm cheating myself out of the time that was set aside for me. And so that really resonates with me, that we have to hold ourselves worthy of the time, right? Like we're worth it.
Absolutely, yes. And it's awesome that you're feeling that self-responsibility to come and show up for yourself, because that's going to be key to keeping that long-term healthy habit.
Yeah, and that you talk a lot about mindset, and I would love for you to talk a little bit about maybe what that means, and if that's the most important tool in the toolbox of changing or transforming a life.
So I would say it's definitely the most important piece to this, because when you change your mind, you literally change your life and the lives of the people around you. You hear quotes out there that talk about you are the reflection of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Now, in my case, it's important that I'm also honoring the fact that I have to show up for myself and be one of those 5 people that I'm surrounding myself with. Am I reflecting what I'm seeing in my environment? Because they're cues. If you allow yourself to pull back, regress, kind of just go into that funk that a lot of times we find ourselves in, especially over this last year, it has been extremely easy to just go, I just can't. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to. We can all have that toddler temper tantrum. But at the end of the day, when we choose to show up and deliver ourselves from our mind's trap, we don't have to stay in the unhealthy habits. We can choose to move forward. We can choose a nice, clean option of food on the plate over something that necessarily won't fuel our system as well. We can choose to take that 4-mile walk instead of cutting it at the 2-mile marker. We can also choose to pick up the phone and call our girlfriend and talk and have that piece of ourself expressed, because that's also exercise. That movement of your mind is just another layer of exercise. Our brain is this most wonderful apparatus, and it makes sure that it has homeostasis. It wants the same thing every day because that feels good. But when we choose to hone in and exercise our mind, we are building a stronger brain to have a stronger body with on a daily basis. It's those habits, that intricate little incremental steps that we take on a daily basis, eating, moving, and believing, that allows that mindset across the board to build, to be stronger. Because you're going to have those days, like we were talking about, you're just not motivated. There is no oomph in the tank. But it's the mindset. When you come at it every single day and just look at it from the one day, today I'm going to move, today I'm going to eat, today I'm going to live my life, I'm going to show up to it all the way, not halfway, because if you only show up halfway, you only get half the results. If you choose, that's mindset. When you decide, that's mindset. Everything after that is the result. So right. I would definitely say that the mindset is your gold. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a goal and it's a tool, right? It's both.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I was thinking that I've been doing a lot of research on the healing power of stories. And the stories we tell ourselves change the way our brains function. And also, when our brains function differently, we react differently to our bodies. And I was wondering, like for me, when I told myself I have to do this 4-mile hike or walk, and I say to myself, you get to do it, you're worth this. Yep. Just how that switches it up. And when you work with your clients, is that that idea of what you tell yourself, is that the tool to create mindset?
It is. I call it flipping the narrative. So even when they have moments where they're down on how they're looking in the journey, I talk about, let's find something that you love about yourself just today. Maybe it's your nose, maybe it's your shoulders, maybe your hair's doing a just perfect cut. Find something that you can go, I like that. That feels good. And you build on it. When we're looking at exercise in general, if we call it a chore, no one is going to show up. I don't want to do chores. I want to play. So I talk about all of this world is my adventure. My exercise area is my playground. My dumbbells and my sliders and my bars, those are my playground equipment. I've flipped the narrative so it feels better. It's a cushion on my brain, because your brain does programs. It feels good or it doesn't. It likes it or it doesn't. There's no gray area when it comes to the on-off of the brain.
So you're playing instead of working, right?
Right. I play. That's just straight across the board. When the clients come in and they join me in person or virtual, it's, are you ready to play? What are you ready to play today? Come into my playground. Let's do this and have fun. Focusing that positive energy changes the brain chemistry, changes the level of serotonin that gets uptake. The dopamine starts firing. All the feel-good chemicals naturally start growing and raising. 5 minutes into the workout, you're having a conversation on the treadmill with me and you're feeling phenomenal because you've talked, you've moved your mind, you've moved your body, and now you've connected. Yep.
Connected, yeah. I love that. And just last night we had a program, Women, Wine, and Financial Freedom, and Jane Helm, who is a certified financial coach, said she never uses the word budget. She doesn't like that word. And she did this whole thing about how budget is like diet. It's restriction, it's limitations. And she talked about how that plays in the brain. So instead of about budget, she didn't use the term flip the narrative like you did, but she flips the narrative and calls it a personalized saving and spending plan. And she said, it's amazing what that does for people when you get to personalize your spending plan instead of limiting what you spend. So anyhow.
Yes, absolutely. Jane and I are friends, and we've had many a conversation about how similar the dynamic is created between food and money.
Yeah.
The way you talk about money, saving, investing, it's a spending plan. You're choosing. You do the same thing with your foods when you do food prep and you choose your meal plans. Same exact thing.
Yeah, I love that this message is being repeated and shared across lots of different aspects of life. I was going to ask you, Tina, when we say we're having a tough adventure, which is, I've heard you say, as opposed to life sucks or something,
Yes.
Talk about that, how that story changes with the tough adventure.
So looking at something from this is gonna suck, this is gonna be tough, this is gonna be hard, I don't know if I can. It starts this cyclic pattern of behavior and mindset, and you go down a rabbit hole that makes it really difficult to come out of.
Right.
The same amount of energy that is expended creating and digging out that rabbit hole, you can actually spend, pun intended, in the other direction. You can stop, draw a line in the sand. When I do my group classes, I ask them to think of their power word. So that is your moment of Zen, your moment of hold on, pump the brakes. I'm going to stand right here and I'm going to choose the next best step. It's not something that's happening to me. It's happening for me. It's not something I have to do. It's something I can. When I get up in the morning, and this is something I share with my clients as well. When I get up in the morning, my feet hit the ground and the first thing I do is put my hand on my heart. I am here. Boom. That changes my whole perspective for the day. I am here. I get to live my life today. Now, how do I want to? How do I choose to? Who can I serve today? How can I show up in my life more effectively today than I did yesterday? Not tomorrow. That's not where I go. Anxiety and trepidation and hesitation and all that stuff is very far and forward. It's in front of us. angst and stress and depression. That's all the stuff behind us. When you're present, whoop, my watch is trying to talk to me. When you're present, it wanted in on the conversation. You have your power. You are standing in your motivation. You are standing with your courage, and you are showing up to the life you were given to live. And that is where all the change takes place.
That's great. Tina, I want to make sure that we have time to do some little exercises today.
Yeah.
But first, there's a couple things I wanted to, so you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a business person, you're a motivational speaker. And speaking of that, you have the Women's Growth Summit coming up. Can you quickly tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So the Women's Growth Summit is a culmination event. We had workshops last year that women were able to attend, and then this annual conference summit is the culmination of the focuses. We look at the pillars of strength, the connection, the emotions, the physical, the spiritual, and the financial aspects of a woman transitioning through life. And so we have gone out and found some of the local leaders in our community. We have Kelsey, I'm going to grab my notes, Kelsey Palmer, Tony Bowie, Jordan Waters, Julie Gaver, Whitney Hahn, Alicia Carpenter, and myself. An all-day speaking event. We are focusing on living off script. This is March 20th. It's an online access event because of all of the COVID restrictions, but it's live broadcasting. So you'll be able to be in the comfort of your own home, enjoying coffee or tea or beverage of your choice, and a notepad, a digital program will be emailed to you once you register for it. But it's a day for us just to come together and connect in the best way that we can at the time. And looking forward to workshops down the road that are going to be in person, hopefully.
If you get a chance, Tina, can you write that in the chat so that we can make sure that people have that?
Yes,
and then this is really exciting. You are also not only a motivational speaker, mother, wife, business owner, you're also a new author. So I wanted to ask you to talk about your book and how maybe we can get that.
Yes, so my book is Broken Road to Badass, and it is my life story from start to current, because life is always changing and evolving. It's never ending. I am absolutely honored to be able to shine my light and share the moments that I've survived, the moments that I have learned how to thrive in, and the mentors that I've found along the way, and some of the key components to how I've been able to change my life, and what is really truly at the end of the day, what's important, how you show up to your life and who you choose to be in this life. And so I will be getting information to you. We have a book launch coming up at the end of April. So all of that is in the works, but I'm grateful and excited for that.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
That's exciting. Tina, you're going to have the next 7 weeks to talk to the Primetime for Women community. What do you hope that they learn? What do you hope they discover about themselves?
I hope you guys learn that you truly are capable of anything you choose to have in your life. And I hope you take away and find for yourself just a rediscovering of how extraordinary you are. The fact that you are here, the fact that life has allowed you to continue to just be so absolutely imperative is proof in and of itself of your purpose. We don't need to be doing the searching thing. We don't need external validation for any of that. You are enough, you are important, and you are so, so valuable in this lifetime.
All right, that's perfect. We can't wait all to learn that. And what will women need to bring to each week with them?
So if you guys have dumbbells, light to medium would be fine. Water bottles are a good go-to, or even like Campbell's soup cans if you don't have those. And then house items like a broomstick or a Swiffer stick you can unscrew from the handle, but even if you can't, we can still use that. Gallons of water is an easy option if you don't have weights, because I know Amazon and everywhere else is still kind of sold out for most of their equipment. Hi, Melissa, I see you tuning in. But yeah, we're going to keep it simple. A lot of these exercises will be body weight based, so you won't have to have anything in hand, but I'll show you the option to intensify it if you want to add the weights into the system.
That's great. And so we have like just a little less than 15 minutes to do some exercising and
Awesome.
have you lead us through some programs that make us stronger, healthier, and happier.
Absolutely. So you just need a space that's big enough that you can kind of do a full circle in all the way around. And we're going to come through and do their 30 seconds of movements. I was going to do them at 45. We had a 30-minute window. I'm going to grab my timer so that you guys aren't holding out in the wind. But we're going to start with a nice warm up. And so what I'm looking for first, we're just going to take the knees and bring them straight up the center of the body. You're trying to come up above your hip flexor. And we're focusing on nice, tall posture. Breathe in, pulling that belly button in nice and tight. Hands are just kind of free and hanging by your sides. We're just getting motion into the body right now. We're going to start and go side to side in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So now we're just stepping from side to side. You're opening up the hip flexors, that ab and abductor motion back and forth. The hands can flow with you. We've got about 10 more seconds here, and we're going to go into a standing mountain climber position. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Landing center, you're reaching up and you're pulling, alternating the arm and the knee. So just pulling together the two moves we did a moment ago. Reaching and raising, and that range of motion is totally up to you. Breathing through it all, making sure you're filling those lungs. We have 5 more seconds, and we're going to land the feet and go into squats. 3, 2, 1. Neutral in position, filling the lungs up, dropping down into a nice neutral squat, just focusing on the squeeze and engagement of the glutes, the core. Breathing through. 10 more seconds here. We're going to open up the midline of the body and go from side to side again, twisting. 3, 2, 1. Now pretend you're like wiping the top of a counter. You're going to sweep across, pivoting through, lifting that heel up off the ground as you come across. We're just getting length into the muscles. 5 more seconds here. 2, 1. We're going to come neutral. I want you to split your stance, so you're just going to take your right leg and step back comfortably, and we're going to circle the arm around forward. We're going to reverse that, and then we're going to step forward and switch sides. So right foot comes forward, left comes back, circle back. And then we're going to circle forward, nice and strong. Bring the feet back together, and we're going to come into a nice little jog. We're going to stay here for about 30 seconds as I explain the first move. So you guys are jogging in place. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my range. You're jogging. I'm going to model the first move. So it's a hip distance apart with the feet. You're going to hinge down into a squat, walk out to plank, walk back, and rise back up and out of it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we have 30 seconds with this move. Nice and tall to start. Squat down, grab the floor, walk your hands out to flat back plank position. Push the hands back towards the toes. Squat, rise up and out of it. You have 20 seconds coming back into the flow. All the way through, breathing, bracing, keeping the back nice and flat, focusing on the engagement of the core. 10 seconds left, flowing through that movement again. Nice and strong. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to the top of the room, shaking anything out, grabbing that breath of air. In 5 seconds, we're going to go into jumping jacks. So this is full throttle movement here, or you can step it out from the side. Go ahead and meet me now. We've got 30 seconds of jumping jacks. You're choosing the range of motion. Nice and easy. Jumping it out or stepping it out. 15 seconds of movement. Nice and easy breathing. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're coming back to those mountain climbers from the standing position for 30 seconds this time. 20 seconds left. Reaching and breathing, climbing and bracing. Belly buttons pulled in towards your spine for core engagement. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Breathing and releasing. So now we're going to grab weights if you have them, water bottles if you have them. If you don't, you're just going to make a fist and engage the bicep muscle through resistance. Neutral in your stance. Roll your shoulders down and back. Nice and tall with soft knees. And we're going to curl 30 seconds straight up, releasing and pressing down, pulling up and through. Focusing on maintaining consistency with the movement, so you want to be in control of it on the pull and on the release. Keeping the shoulders out of the ears, core engaged to protect your back, soft knees to protect your back. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing those weights down. We're going to come into a front raise. So I'm going to go sideways so you can see the profile. Weights are going to be directly at your side. Shoulders are down. Brace and engage, nice and tall. Press the weights up to shoulder height. Pull them straight back down to your sides. Soft knees, 30 seconds of movement, straight forward, straight down. Push and pull back. Breathing and bracing. 20 seconds here. And we're going to go into a side raise. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. 10 seconds left. Any point you need to breathe or break, you just pause, hold, and then come back into the movement. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same pose, brace and engage. Do a body check and make sure everything feels good. We're going to come to the sides. Still again, coming just to shoulder height. Staying within that range of motion so you're not letting it creep up into your neck. 20 more seconds here. Breathing and bracing. 10 seconds. Next movement is going to be an overhead press. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give the shoulders a roll. Get a little more movement into that body. Take that breath. We're going to take the weights to the top of the room, facing out towards me, soft knees, press up and through, pull back and down. So full range of motion, pull down towards your shoulders, press up and away towards the ceiling, squeezing the glutes to maintain contraction in the core, helping to protect that spine. Nice soft knees, don't want to lock anything out. 15 seconds here. And then we're going to come down to the floor for some ab work. Last 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing, releasing, rolling those shoulders down. We're going to set the weights down on the ground. I'm going to change my camera angle just a smidge so that you can see the floor. So we're going to come down all the way to the back side. And we are going to do a rope climb crunch. So your feet are on the floor connected, your knees are bent, hip distance apart. Pretend like there's a rope coming down, dangling from your ceiling, and you're reaching and pulling the rope. We've got 30 seconds here, just pulling, reaching. If anything stacks up or starts to pain, pull, or strain in your neck, go ahead and release all the way to the floor. Otherwise, you're reaching for that rope and pulling it down towards you like you're climbing to the top of the ceiling. 15 seconds here. Breathing through it all. Moving as best you can from your perspective of power, your position. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, breathe. Stretch for a second if you need it. We're going to come up to a seated position, and we're going to find a C curve position. So if you imagine a thread coming from your belly button, pulling across the room, it just made your posture engage. Your feet are dug into the ground with the heels, your knees are bent. From here, we're going to punch to the left and right sides of the room to get some mid connection through that core line. Back and forth, punching from the back, not just flinging the arms across, nice and solid at shoulder height, push and pull, breathing through it all. If it starts to tense up in your spine, just come up further into the movement. Intensification, you pull yourself back as far as you can control the engagement of the core line. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, releasing up and forward. And I'm going to take you through a couple cooling stretching moves from here. So we're going to start in what is called a butterfly pose. So the soles of your feet are pulled together. Your knees are headed to the left and right of the room. You can pick your hips up and reset your sits bones. Roll your shoulders down and back and try and pull the posture in as tall as you can and just stand straight up and breathe. Inhale and then exhale and push the legs to the left and right down towards the floor, using the forearms to push into that for more intensity. Inhale back up nice and tall. We're going to take the feet and pull them into an Indian style crisscross positioning. We're going to take the hands from the center, reach up, inhale to the top of the room. You're going to split and turn over the left side. So my right hand's going to turn to the left front, my left hand to the left back. Breathing, twisting, nice and tall, using your fingertips to pull you into that twist, and then unwind center. Inhale to the top. We're going to do the same thing to the right. Fold over, reach the left hand to the front of the room, right hand to the back, twist into that, breathe. Come back to the center. We're going to fold up and over top, finding 4-point. I'm going to turn to my side so you can see the range. So you're stacking your shoulders over your wrists, your knees over your hips over your knees. From this position, take your left hand out and your right leg back. Stretch and breathe and reach away from yourself as far as you can. Pull back down into center 4-point. Right hand reaches out, left foot reaches back, holding, breathing, bracing. Pull back into your center. From here, we're going to push back into a child pose. Extend the hands away from you and let your head fall to the floor. Breathing and bracing. Inhale, pull the hands underneath the shoulder line. Kickstand your feet. We're going to push into a downward dog. Pedal the left and right foot back and forth. Dig the heels into the ground. Stretch and breathe. Release the knees to bend. Walk the hands back like we did in the beginning, and then rise all the way up. Take a nice deep breath. All right, my friends, you just finished day 1, week 1 of our adventure.
Tina, thank you. That was wonderful. I was wondering, do you have a little assignment for us? I know that was one of the things we
I do. If you guys are willing to, I would absolutely love for you to keep track of all of the wonderful foods, no judgment zone, everything that you eat, write it down on paper, anything that goes into your mouth. If it's a taste, a lick, a full bite, a whole plate, whatever it looks like, no judgment. We just want to know what you are enjoying over the next week, and then we'll talk about that.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Time for Women's Move to Improve with Tina Fraley. I feel like that was a great workout. I hope you do too. Together we will be stronger, healthier, and happier. We'll see you next Wednesday at 10 o'clock.